Greetings and welcome to Quantum Leap. I'm your host, Toyin Umesiri. Today I have something very special to share with you. I'm going to go deeper into explaining the science of spirituality and emotional development. This is very powerful. So, when I talk about the science of spirituality, this comes from a layer as I've continued to work with people. What I've found is that the science world, right, really does not have the language yet to explain beyond atoms, protons, right? When you talk about the quantum layer, beyond the quantum, what's happening beneath the surface, the realm of the non physical world, right? The language beyond quantum. Also, what I found is that the world of the spiritual, those who are spiritually oriented, religious people, I'm a Christian, right? So people of faith. What I've also found is that people you typically are stuck in the spiritual practices, but beyond the spiritual, connecting spirituality to science, landing it in the science, I see two sides struggle to understand how they both connect. The science world, atoms, protons, right? And the spiritual world, the world of the spiritual, religious, right? Is that what I have done with my unique program is to explain where they both collide. And really, the middle is where it's in the quantum layer, okay? It's what influences direct atoms, protons, neutrons. And so what I'll try to explain today is what's happening from a spiritual, right? Even the language of the spiritual, how it connects to the scientific world, and how the world of science, right, can also embrace what is going on beyond the quantum layer. Okay, so this is quite advanced, right? What I'm going to try to do is to explain something extremely sophisticated, the most advanced topic you can dive into in the world. I'm going to really attempt to break it down and keep it very simple, and you're going to walk away more enlightened. Okay, so this is about language. These words exist, okay? So it's about comprehension, it's about how we seek to understand the world around us. So this is not us, right, creating anything. This is us seeking to understand how we are wired, how the world around us is wired, because that knowledge allows us to interface and interact with the world in a more positive way. That's why this is important. Is that the more we know about the design, the actual full design of you, right? How humans are designed and how the world around you is actually designed to function properly, the more we know about the design, the more we can work with the design, right? And do it in a positive way. So as example, it's like your car. The more you know about your car, the more you know about your tire, your gas, the dashboard, the engine, the more you can care for it, right? You know when the light says your gas tank is going low, you need to fuel, you need more energy to keep propelling your car forward. Ignoring that light or claiming ignorance of the light in your dashboard, like not bothering to understand why the light by your gas tank is saying yellow or feel right, not knowing leads to more negative, right, experiences in life, right? So this knowledge brings us back into positivity. So what knowledge is this? You see, when you come into the middle of the realm of the spiritual and then the world of science, particularly human design right now, this is where your thoughts, okay, are energized to affect and influence what you are experiencing, what you're doing, what you're attracting, who you're becoming in the natural. Okay? So there's the spiritual side. That's the realm of power. That's actually also the realm of knowledge. You are a knowledge seeker. You seek out knowledge because you use knowledge to think, to produce, to direct yourself into what you want to do, where you want to go, who you want to be. Your beliefs, your values, your identity is shaped by the knowledge you have. That's interesting, right? Because naturally, from when you are born, somebody has to teach you knowledge. You come in as a right as a human being, right? And immediately somebody gives you a name, somebody pours thoughts into you, somebody starts filling you up with A, B, C, D, and 1, 2, 3, because you need knowledge to guide yourself into becoming, into doing, into contributing. Knowledge is required to direct your life force into motion, into action, right? Becoming who you want to become is a decision you have to make. When you're young, many decisions are made on your behalf. Your name, somebody decided, hey, right, this is a baby, let's give you this name. So the thoughts of your name came from your parents, right? Thoughts, idea from them of who they think you are. They give you an imprint, an energetic imprint, and soon enough, as you grow up, you start responding to that thought, to that idea, to that name. That name becomes your identity. You take on a form, you take on an identity, you accept that thought, that idea of a name is yours, and you start responding and reacting to that sound, to that name. Everything else follows the same process. Everything else. Beyond atom protons, right, is that at the energetic layer, we use thoughts to create reactivity. How we react to life, how we respond to life, how we give meaning to our life experiences is layers of thoughts. And those thoughts create reactivity. Our energy reacts to sound, to words, to language. That's how we give meaning to the third dimensional reality. And the meaning we give it affects our physiology. So I'll give you a practical example. In the physical, the world of science, you have your central nervous system, you have your endocrine system. And your endocrine system, right, creates your hormones. These are chemical messages that fuel your cells. Your cells have receptors, they receive that, DNA, all of that. Your central nervous system is actually, in the physical world, is your power bank. This is where your power, electrical charge, is released, is activated, your nerves into, right, your being into motion. It controls, right, the movement, the motion, the rhythms of organs within you. The world of science, right, biology, we understand, we've studied that world, right, hormones, organs, cells, we've gone down to the atom level. The realm that actually influences and directs what is seen beyond your central nervous system is the realm of thoughts. You think your way to motion, you think your way to action, you think your way to aliveness. Whatever you want to do, whoever you want to be, whatever you want to become, wherever you want to go, what makes your physical body do those things, be who you are, is actually the thoughts within you. You use your thoughts, your decisions, your beliefs, right, to control your physical self. That's where it comes in, is that behind your physical self is the realm where words, thoughts, right, energizes you to take action, to become, right, who you are, and to do the things. And so the training of yourself, your physical self, begins with thoughts. And that's why you seek knowledge. That's why you need direction, instruction, guidance, explanation, meaning, language. That realm of information is extremely important because this is where we produce who we are. This is how we decide what we want. This is where we determine where we're going, how to engage in this physical world. And this is what I call self programming, how you use your thoughts to guide yourself into becoming consciously who you want to be, into becoming, right, the reflection of your thoughts. You are a reflection of your thoughts, your perceptions, your beliefs, your values, and the identity you've taken on based on your journey in the reality. That is what happens behind the scene that then lands on your central nervous system, that programs you, and then your body responds and does action based on your thoughts. Now, beyond the thoughts is where we then talk about power and knowledge. Is that the more knowledge you pursue, you acquire, the more power to produce using that knowledge is given to you. And so intentionality into pursuit of knowledge is what opens you up to be able to produce using that knowledge. You have to put knowledge to use, you have to put power to use. And when you do both of those things with wisdom, what you're going to create ought to be the life that makes you happy, fulfilled, joyful. If you are in charge, if you awaken to this responsibility, if you develop emotionally, and I'll explain the role of emotions in this, if you develop that spiritual side of you, you would acquire more knowledge, you will know more, so you can do more with that knowledge, and you can make more decisions within the realms of the knowledge and power you have to create yourself, to teach yourself, to attract the things that you desire. Now, that's how it's supposed to work, but it doesn't always work that way, because one of the reasons is because emotional development, that's the middle layer of how you acquire knowledge and use knowledge to produce results through thinking, right? Through thinking, conscious effort to think, requires us to also manage our emotions, because when you use power, you spend it with emotions. Once it comes into the physical world, what you're going to experience is the emotional reactivity to the knowledge you're producing, to the thoughts that you are having. Is that in the natural world, your body then reacts, your energetic state reacts to those thoughts. If the reactivity is positive, you have joy, peace, right? You enter the flow state. You can do more, you can go out into the world, you have confidence, right? You are purposeful, you are charging forward in life because you are being fueled by positive thoughts, positive energy. Now, when you misfire, this is where energetics come in. Every misfire comes out of negative emotions, negative reactivity, frustration, anger, which is, life, right? Is that when you're trying to learn how to do something and you didn't figure it out, and you have a story or a thought that is negatively charged, that ends with negativity, not peace, not joy, not happiness, the body bears it all. And so what happens in the middle, this is where I do a lot of teaching in my school on emotional development, emotional processing, emotional healing, is because as we're growing up in life, not everybody has been given the chance and the tools to learn how to think about what they're thinking about and take responsibility of bringing their reactivity to a peaceful space. Because when a child is born, right from childhood, right, the child starts crying. That's reactivity. Maybe the child wants food. When the child wants something and doesn't have the power, skills, knowledge to produce it and give it, right, the child needs to give itself food. When the child cannot give itself food, when it doesn't know how, when the child doesn't have knowledge or doesn't have power and abilities to do the things they want to do, to acquire the things they want to acquire, to become the person they want to become, there's a reactivity that is charged negatively. And those reactivities becomes the responsibility of the parents, the adults, to bring that child, to suit that child and bring that child to a neutral or joyful state of energetic experience. And so as we mature, right, there's the spiritual, there's the emotional, there's the intellectual, there's the physical. We tend to be given skills to manage the physical. Brush your teeth, comb, right? Self-care. The side that needs more investment as you want to do more. When you want to build wealth, you want to start a business, the more success you desire, you want to get married. When you start getting into more advanced, sophisticated side of life, when it's not just about you, it's about how you interact with yourself and other people interact with you, your emotional development starts showing its face in your reactivity to life. The thoughts within you create reactivity. Is it positive? Do you have a positive outlook of life? Do you have the knowledge, positive outlook? Positive knowledge, positive programming, positive outlook. Have you invested enough in learning more about the higher realms of life so that you can react positively and get positive results? Because in the third dimension, you're going to attract your own charge for charge. So what you're going to find is that when people start maturing, if they reach teenage years and they are not gifted the ability to exercise, right, their own emotion, to develop emotionally, to practice all the realms and spectrums of emotions and learn how to handle their reactivity, their negative reactivity, and learn how to capture those thoughts and bring it to peace, capture those thoughts, bring it to joy, capture those thoughts, and use those thoughts to move themselves forward. When that development is shortened, so short circuit, or even escaped, the realm of escaping is something happened that wasn't processed. When we talk about rest and digest information, right? It wasn't well digested, it wasn't brought to the place of peace. Typically now, people start disassociating, right? Where they now become more intellectual and less emotional. The world has been trained to be logical and to ignore the emotional, energetic, the real side of them. So it's like people leave their houses unoccupied, but while you leave it unoccupied, what is occupying your house could be things you don't want. Circuits and charges and reactivity below the surface that people can mask, can present to the world. Happiness, right? It's easy to smile. But what's not easy is to sit with yourself and handle the negative charge inside, right? And to discharge negativity and to then do the work to, right, raise your charge to higher realms. When we say quantum leap, or you hear people say raise your vibration, move on to the higher states of existence, is that bringing yourself from frustration, doubt, fear, right? This journey, when you're on this journey of moving yourself from, say, employee to entrepreneur, well, right? When you move into a realm where you're trying to figure things out and learn, that learning process actually is a reprogramming process. It rewires your beliefs, your values. It's attempting to reshape you, to reform you into a new identity, your value system, your beliefs. And that world is very uncomfortable because many people do not have the language to explain what is happening within them. Because when you decide you want to become greater, you want to become more, you want to acquire more wealth, guess what has to happen? Your old identity has to be reshaped. You have to upgrade your knowledge. You need more power. You need more knowledge. You need more wisdom. You need more abilities. You need more skills. You have to upgrade. And that process of systematically upgrading humans, if it's not done in a controlled environment, it can actually create more negative reactivity. That's why the school system is structured to help people grow, right? Is that the school system, you go in 4 years, you give them 4 years to reprogram you. And it is done in a safer, even because learning process is quite emotional. Why? Because you're taking in information, you're taking new identity, you're using knowledge to reshape yourself and to program yourself. You're opening yourself to new information, new levels of understanding, new language by which you interpret the world, because that is going to give your physical form new abilities in terms of what you're going to do. So it takes 4 years in a college. and then more years to go from ABCD to I'm an engineer. What then happens is when you want to transform again, what I do in my school is knowing this is that you want to do it in a controlled environment. Many people don't do it in a controlled environment. So they open themselves up to new programming, and they open themselves to random knowledge. And so they are taking on random things. But when those things come into them, if you don't know what to do with knowledge, you may introduce information that is not in your favor. And so those things start reactivity, frustration, all of those things, they get heightened. They get heightened. So being careful, okay, what knowledge you are ingesting, digesting, processing, and producing is one of the wisest things you can do. And this is the realm of emotional development. The care you're going to take over your own reactivity, over your own well-being, over your own energetic vibration to systematically learn good things, positive things in the direction you want to go. Instructions, guidance, right? Direction is what you need, who you need to become, what you need to learn, what you need to value. Learning that in a safer environment is highly recommended because, again, your spiritual power would use knowledge, but you need wisdom, you need know-how. This is where we go into what, where, when, how to use knowledge to create. This is the quantum layer where you use thoughts to create strategy, your life strategy, to lead yourself, to guide yourself so that you don't miss, right? So that you don't misfire, so that you don't make a mistake, so that you don't develop the behavior or abilities that is not going to attract what it is you want. So this is a very powerful middle where emotional development allows you to acquire greater knowledge and to intentionally put that knowledge to use, because when you do that over time, you're going to receive more power. You will feel more in charge. You will feel more in control. You will feel more confidence. Confidence comes out of doing this work, knowing who you are, knowing who you've become, knowing your journey, right? Knowing who you are builds confidence. Not knowing makes the middle shake. It creates emotional dysregulation. Is that there is a misalignment, soul misalignment in the middle. So this is where the world of spiritual world, where we talk about power, knowledge, this is where it's you use that world intentionally, right, to create what you want to experience in the physical world. And it takes a lot of years of growth to actually see this manifest fully. That's why, starting from a very young age is where we ought to have started, but many people did not have the luxury to be in an environment where they were allowed to throw quote and unquote tantrums. I'm going to use that phrase. Being a child, 4-year-old, 5-year-old, where you're in a safe environment and you exercise your will, okay? Because that world is will, what you want, what you desire, what you hope for, your own spiritual will and what you think you have power to pursue. Children exercise that, and adults are supposed to guide them, give them the best approach, path to getting the things that they want. Okay, you're hungry. This is how you get what you want, right? That's emotional maturity. When you desire something, you want something, you want to will it, you really, really have a healthy desire for success, for growth, for wealth. Now you have to learn the way. Because if you don't know the way and you just start throwing your power, throwing your will, that's a tantrum. And then children blame other people. They throw a tantrum and they say, I tried this, I want this, but I'm not getting it. I tried this, I get it, but I'm not getting it. Why am I not getting it? Why am I not getting it? And then they go into tantrum. That's what I'm saying. Like, how do you bring that state into calmness, into understanding that maybe you need to know more, right? Finding the way. What do you need to know? Taking responsibility for pursuing the knowledge that will help you get what you want. That is where that maturity comes in. Because when people don't develop, Really, they don't know what's missing. They want something, they've tried this, they've tried that, they've tried that. But yet they're like, you know what? Maybe it's the government, maybe it's this. That's an adult tantrum in the sense that we are supposed to focus on developing our emotions to a place of responsibility of saying, okay, maybe I need to invest more. Maybe I need an advisor. Maybe I need a mentor. Maybe I need a coach. Maybe somebody who has figured it out can teach me. It's a place of humility. Maybe I can ask this person to teach me. Maybe I can pay somebody to guide me, because guidance, instruction is what I need to be able to produce the results that I desire. And so, not doing that approach, not learning, it has a lot of biological implication, because that's the world of stress, cortisol, right? Is that you subject yourself, your energy, to more pressure. When you put yourself in more pressure to produce a result you didn't teach or train yourself to produce, that's the world of stress. Is that less stress can be you sitting under someone else and letting other people guide you, right? Letting other people teach you, processing your own emotions, owning yourself. Transparency, authenticity can emerge from this space. So thank you so much for joining me on this episode of Quantum Leap. I'm your host, Toyin Umesiri. My student call me Coach Toyin. Do join us, learn more about the science of spirituality, emotional development, because this is the realm where it's the shaping of self, it's the programming of self. Now, if you've inherited an existing programming and you're not trying to change yourself, then you're fine, you're fixed. That's a fixed mindset, that's a fixed state. However, the world right now requires everybody to adjust, because the world around you is moving really fast, AI, all of those things. So this is one of the skills that is so important for now and the future, is learning how to learn and how to reprogram yourself to be able to adapt to the shaping of the world around you and thrive in that world, not hang on to survival, because hanging on to survival is hanging on to who you used to be, your old identity, your old programming. When you hang on to that, when the world is asking you to change, to mature, to grow, this is also one area people are stuck in. But when you grow more knowledge, you develop more power, you seek direction, instruction, you can actually, over a period of time, start shifting, learning, unlearning, and adjusting your inner programming, which is the realm of the quantum, your own energetic state and the stories you're carrying around and your belief system. When you adjust that, your performance in the third dimension, your behavior, right, your energetic charge, your nerves, everything are rewired and reorganized as well for your future. So thank you again. Coach Toyin here. God bless you. See you again next week. Bye for now.